All righty, we promised you that the Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report will start now at 10:30. Here we go. The man is in Las Vegas. He still has his wallet. He still has his bank account, which is a miracle, but he's ready to rock with us. The great Ira Winderman. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Ira Heat Beat. Good morning, sir. Good early morning to you, by the way.
Good morning to you. I'm on a little bit of a shaky wireless, so at any point, if you give me the high sign, I will call you on the telephone on the secret big old bat line just in case. And while I am good with the wallet, if the wife looks at the ATM charges this morning, maybe not so good.
Although I got to tell you, the charge that's not looking too good is the charge that Toronto made on their credit card for several $1 million for a player called Goran Dragic. And Goran's found himself in a little bit of hot water when he was telling a Serbian television company about that he wasn't so happy about being traded to Toronto. And then he had to apologize, but he never denied what he said, which was the kind of, we got to start with this one, because how does this drama develop for a guy like this?
You know what? Oh, this is just liar's poker. And if you remember, when Goran was traded to the Heat in 2015, he came out strongly against the Suns and said, look, I came here to be a point guard. Then you have Eric Bledsoe. That's fine. I've worked with him. Then you add Isaiah Thomas, and all of a sudden I'm standing out in the parking lot just shooting jumpers. He got traded to the Heat within days. And oh, you know this. You've been around the Heat a lot. Is there a nicer human being on the face of the earth than Goran Dragic?
No, I mean, he's golden. Yeah,
he's as good as anyone out there. So, of course, he then comes back yesterday and says, that's not what I meant. What I meant was, I want to be in a place where I'm comfortable, and I was so comfortable in Miami, this is still a shock to the system. Look, this is nothing more than liar's poker that everyone plays in this situation. Everyone knows this. Goran Dragic knows he can't be on the Heat. He was traded with Precious Achiuwa for Kyle Lowry. He accepts that because he accepts it for this reason. The Heat picked up his $19.4 million team option before the trade. When you get $19.4 million, they could send you to Siberia, and you go, right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But Goran was expecting, and still expects to be rerouted to the Dallas Mavericks. So you have that. That's one part of it. Part number two of the equation. The Raptors want to relocate him to Dallas, but they're holding a firm line with the Mavericks when it comes to who they want. There's talk about Josh Powell, the forward there. There's talk, I believe, Moses Brown, who was acquired from the Celtics through the Thunder. In other words, they want their optimal package. Dallas is going, well, you got a guy who's miserable. You should just give him up. We're not going to give you anything. So all along, I mean, I'll give you the perfect example. Yesterday, I was on a conference call with Precious Achiuwa. He's here in Las Vegas playing Summer League. He was formally introduced. Not only haven't the Raptors introduced Goran Dragic, they haven't even scheduled a press conference. Think about that, when you have a $19 million player. Look at the washing machine I went through last week with the Heat. Every 5 minutes a press conference, right? We had Kyle Lowry. We had Markieff Morris. We had PJ Tucker. We had Jimmy Butler. I couldn't get off the damn phone. It was just constant. So clearly, as much as Goran might be painted as the bad guy here, the Raptors are trying to do what's in their best interest also and move him on. So why put him through the whole dog and pony show of Toronto media, meet your next point guard, when we know Fred VanVleet is their next point guard? They're set there. They need other positions taken care of. So this will play out for a while. Goran was being honest. And you know this, because you always talk about it on your show. You want an honest athlete. You don't want an athlete giving you those cliches. You don't play those interviews. You don't interview those people. So what I hate about sports fans and journalists to a degree is this. When a guy is honest and they beat up on him. No, that's exactly what the media wants and what the fans want. All we want is candor. If you don't want to go on the date with me, don't keep sending me these emails how you have other plans and need your hair done. Be honest with me. Same thing in this case.
Okay. All right. That's and after those comments, they would definitely won't schedule a press conference.
I can't see it. Can you imagine?
No, I mean,
Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you a part B of this. Just like Pat Riley is yet to comment on the Kyle Lowry trade, because, and I'm sure we'll get to this, amid the NBA investigation, you don't want to answer those questions also. I mean, basically, I saw Andy Ellisberg here the other day at the Heat game in Vegas. I gave him a wave. He gave me a wave. We're both wearing masks. You can't tell the emotions, but I got to imagine that Andy Ellisberg is absolutely pins and needles and on edge because of what's going on. So you know what? There are times I understand people can't talk also. For Goran, this is one of them. For Pat Riley, this is one of them.
Yeah. All right. So segue to that. Where does this lead? I mean, are they going to take away a pick in 2037? Because, I mean, the Heat don't have picks for like 40 years anyway. So what's going to happen? I'm not worried about any money fine. The Arisons can handle $500,000, $1 million, or $5 million, whatever
Sure.
the fine is. They can handle that. I'm not going to cry the river for them. But are they going to lose a draft pick in 30 years from now?
Well, first of all, because I'm just starting here on the Big O show, is profanity allowed or discouraged? You tell me.
No,
Okay.
I mean,
well,
I don't want you to go on a sexual
okay,
tirade.
okay. I'll use the euphemism.
But if a shit and an F-bomb drops, I'm all right with it. That's all right.
I think this is total BS. I'll put it that way. You can spell it out if you want or whatever. And this is the reason.
Because it's bullshit.
This is not tampering. This is what I wrote a story in the Sun Sentinel. I spoke to an attorney involved in the situation. This is what they call gun jumping. The Heat acted too early. Or did they? For this reason. The Heat spoke to the Toronto Raptors at the trading deadline. I know I'm going to sound like a houseman here also, and I know you don't like that in any of your guests, but let me just get to the end of this. So the Heat at the trading deadline spoke to the Toronto Raptors. They said, who do you want in a trade for Kyle Lowry? They were given a list. The Heat said, Tyler Hero, no. Duncan Robinson, no. Oh, you like Precious Achiuwa? We'll bank that information. That's good to know. Okay, why are you considering trading Kyle Lowry? We're considering trading Kyle Lowry because he wants X, Y, and Z in free agency. Basically, a 3-year contract takes him up to age 38, the NBA limit for long-term contracts. There's an over 38 rule, used to be over 36, and he wants about $90 million. Okay, that's good knowledge. Hey, Masai, we'll get back to you when free agency starts. So you approach free agency, and Pat Riley goes to Andy Ellisberg. Well, they know we re-signed Duncan Robinson, 5 years, $90 million. We've made clear, because we could have so many times, we're not trading Tyler Hero yet. So Precious Achiuwa, God bless him, is available. Now, what's a matching salary that Kyle Lowry, if he wants around $90 million, maybe we'll give him $85 million. What matches in the NBA salary cap math with that? Oh, if we pick up Goran Dragic's team option, add that salary, 19.4, to the rookie scale contract of Precious, we can build a 3-year, $85 million contract. Okay, it's Sunday evening. We feel pretty good. Oh, free agency starts at 6 p.m. Monday? Cool. Oh, we're allowed to talk to the Raptors about personnel trades for players under contract? Okay, we're going to call him Sunday and saying, hey, we just picked up Goran Dragic's team option. You like him? And Toronto's going, we might be able to move him to the Mavericks or something else. That's interesting. What about Precious Achiuwa? Do you still like him? And the Mavericks go, well, you know what? He looked pretty interesting playing for Nigeria and the national team. Hey, those are names we really like. And thank you, Patrick Riley, for giving me a call. And Andy, we'll talk to you again tomorrow. 6 o'clock comes around. The Heat calls Toronto. So are we still good with Achiuwa and Dragic for Lowry? They go, yes. We go, okay, we're going to call Mark Bartelstein his agent. See if he's still good for 3 years, $90 million. What do you know? He's good for 3 years, $85 million. Meanwhile, Mark Bartelstein goes, you know what? I have interest. This is just me summarizing. I have interest from Dallas and from the Pelicans. I'll give them a call. They're not going to pay the 3rd year guaranteed. Hey, pretty simple. Let's do a deal. Now, I'm not saying that all gets done in 19, 18, or 20 minutes, but there's the groundwork there. So long story short, if they were gun jumping, it's still possible, but it also could be something that's lined up a lot easier than the Lonzo Ball trade from Chicago. All of that said, do they want to make an example? And I'm going to come back with another screed here in a second. Do they want to make an example of the Miami Heat and Chicago Bulls? Yes, they do. Will they take a draft choice? I think they will. I don't think it's fair, but I don't think everything is fair in the Adam Silver, David Stern, NBA set the rules. And even though you could not trade successive first-round picks,
CP3 and the Lakers, not everything is fair.
Right. So even though you can't trade successive first-round picks, It doesn't mean you can't be penalized them. The Heat's 2023 pick, lottery protected, goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder as of now. That was part of the trade the Heat made and the machinations for some of their other recent trades. So we understand that. So that pick is going out. The NBA could conceivably take the Heat's 2022 first-round pick. Is it fair? No, it's not always fair. And you know what? Draft choices and Pat Riley, you move on. And keep this in mind, Big O, and I'm sorry for being long-winded here. The Heat's 2022 first-round pick is part of this unbelievable machinations with the Rockets and the Brooklyn Nets, where the Heat gets the worst pick of those picks. I think we all agree, with a mostly healthy Harden and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, the Nets will probably draft in the late 20s. They'll be one of the 3, 4, 5 best teams in the league. So you're talking about possibly giving up the number 25 pick. What the heck? We got Kyle Lowry.
Right. All right. Let's if that's what you think is going to end up, that's wow.
Severe.
And they don't have a lot of first round picks over the next couple of years.
No. So they could be without 22 and 23, and then they have their picks going forward. It's not easy, but you know what? Oh, because you and I always play this game. Matter of fact, I have played this Big O game, people out there, since 2005 at Big O. That was the Shaq trade. And I was on his show and I don't know, WWW, whatever, or, whatever radio station. I have no idea what station you're on at that time. And you and I debated. Excuse me? It was QAM? Okay. Mm-hmm. And remember the debate where you did a month's worth of shows on, should the Heat throw Caron Butler in the Shaq trade? Remember that? That we knew that Brian Graham was going out. We knew that Lamar Odom was going out. Where do we draw the line? So Big O, I'm going to throw something back at you now, 16 years later.
Remember, that was 400-pound Shaq with a toe issue. All right, go ahead.
Sure. And we were both a little skinnier back then, but that's another story. Actually, I think that was one of your thin phases also. So I think you're looking good as you were now.
Yeah, I've done this. So yeah.
So yes, for the people out there on radio, that's the up and down wave. Anyway, so I'm going to throw something at you now to sort of put this all in a nice bow tie and all this. Would you trade Goran Dragic, Precious Achiuwa, and a future first-round pick for Kyle Lowry?
No.
Oh, okay. No. So that's the deal. So to you, the penalty is severe. I would.
Yeah, I don't like the Lowry deal, period. I don't like to give a guy to 38 years old. I just this whole old team, to me, I wouldn't have given Jimmy Butler the extension either. I just think that the Heat are rolling the dice, but I get it why they did it, because they have no other recourse. They don't have the substance to go out and get a young superstar. Mm-hmm. There are no other guys that are available that might be disgruntled. Their contracts are expiring, whatever it is. There's nothing really available. So they had to go this route. You know what I mean? So I get it. I understand.
They got the best free agent on the market. I mean, every year we talk about this game with the Heat, right? We talk about Kevin Durant. We talk about Gordon Hayward. We talk about them. Pat can harpoon and whale or whatever, but he does go after the big fish. Well, the Heat got the biggest fish. Now, the biggest fish is 35 years old, and I understand that the fish, you may want to check with the people at Whole Foods behind the counter to see if it's still fresh or previously frozen, which if he's in Toronto, maybe it was. But I still think the bottom line is they came out of free agency, I believe, in the moment, a better team. And you know what? Pat Riley lives in the moment. Andy Ellisberg lives in the moment. Adam Simon lives in the moment. And you and I spoke about this in our previous segments here. This isn't the Marlins trying to tell me how in 2028 their lineup is going to be dynamic and their pitching staff is going to come around. That's the difference. Yeah.
And by the way, I will say this about the Heat. If somehow these old guys stay healthy, this is not the team you want to play in the playoffs.
Right.
Okay.
You have to get to the playoffs. Yes.
Right. They'll get to the playoffs. But I mean, if they are healthy and they get to a point where they're facing the Nets or the Bucks, those teams aren't going to want to face this team at all, because that's the one thing I will give Riley and the franchise. They picked really smart veterans. They picked a team that resembles what the identity of this franchise is, because I believe they've kind of lost their identity the last couple of years because they don't play the kind of defense they used to. Now they're going to play that kind of defense like they used to, because they've got guys that are really smart and are really dedicated to that side of the court. Right. So that I will say, I know that there's a risk now because there's so much age on this team, and you're asking them to go through an 82-game schedule plus the playoffs. And maybe they'll get away with it this year, but then down the line, as these contracts wear
you
down,
know what? And down the line becomes down the line, and Pat Riley has always found a way, or whoever is in charge then will take care of down the line. Matter of fact, since you have a couple hours left on your show and you have the chat group there on the side on YouTube also, I'm going to throw a little quiz out to you and your listeners, okay?
There you go. You guys ready?
Everyone got a pen at home, and so fill this out, and you can fill in your answers to Big O or send it to his email. Is any team in the NBA better positioned with 3 defenders to guard Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden than the Heat? In other words, you're playing the Nets in a playoff series. So you're going to put PJ Tucker against Kevin Durant, and he did really good work in that series against the Bucks. When you look, that series against the Nets, when you look in that series. So let's say you have that matchup. You put Jimmy Butler against James Harden, okay? And then against Kyrie Irving, you have the Bulldog defense of Kyle Lowry. So you have those 3 matchups going on. Again, folks out there, get your pen, find other teams. Maybe you want to argue Milwaukee. Maybe you want to say, hey, with Giannis Antetokounmpo.
No, because they lost PJ. I would be with you on Milwaukee if they still had PJ, because then you've got Giannis, PJ, and
Holiday.
Believe it or not, DiVincenzo also. No, DiVincenzo can help you on defense too. You know what I'm saying? So that's another. That guy was missing in their team. That was a huge loss.
Yeah. No, I agree. What I'm saying is,
realize that, but yes, you're right.
And that's why just like when the Heat had the big 3. When the Heat had LeBron and Bosh and Wade, every team out there was saying, how can we build a team to try to defend or at least compete with those guys? And you know what? And I said this before to you last week. You're not going to outscore the Nets. You're not. If the Heat went out there and got young, offensive-minded players like Big O, you're not going to outscore the 3 best scorers. I mean, that's a team that conceivably could finish with 3 of the top 5 scorers in the NBA this coming season. So what do you do? You take the opposite approach. We're not going to outscore them. We'll try to outstop them. And you play it that way also. It's intriguing. I agree. The future remains an utter abstract for the Miami Heat anyway. But you know what? They're living in the moment. They've always found a way. How many craptastic years have the Heat really had since 2008 when they tanked because they thought they were going to get Derrick Rose and got Michael Beasley instead? But except for then, they've been up and down. But you know what, every other single season, they've gone into the final week of the season at least with a chance for the playoffs. There was the year they lost the final game. They got Justice Winslow. They had to play around because of trade protections on picks. But they live in the moment, and I love it because all I want, I think all your listeners want, all the viewers on Bally Sports Sun want is this: every game to be meaningful. That's what Pat Riley has created in his quarter century plus with the Heat.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. And again, defensively, this is a team that can really scare people. By the way, Moondog Trading threw in Bobby Portis too, who can definitely help out on defense. He's right about that. They're a good team defensively.
And that's another team. And that's another team you're going to have to beat anyway. So you're going to have to put PJ Tucker on Giannis. You're going to have to put Jimmy on Middleton. You're going to have to put Lowry on Holiday. But you have that possibility. You have that option. Philly doesn't have that option. Boston doesn't have that option. New York doesn't have that option. Atlanta doesn't have that option. The Heat could finish behind all of those teams. They could be a 6th place team again. Oh, it is possible. You're going to have to rest. You're going to have to load manage, call whatever you want. You certainly could say in the East that Brooklyn finishes 1st, Milwaukee 2nd, Philly 3rd, maybe Atlanta 4th. You're fighting with the Knicks. But like you said, there is regular season basketball and there's playoff basketball.
Ira, as always, joins us twice a week on Tuesdays and on Fridays for the Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat Report. Make sure you visit our friends over at Pembroke Pines, Acura 15601 Pines Boulevard. Go see Larry Schlossberg and company and tell them that Big O sent you. I promise you, they will definitely take care of you. All right, let's stay on the defensive side of the equation here.
Sure.
KZ Okpala. In 2019, they traded 3 second-round picks to acquire this young man. We have heard the name KZ Okpala over and over and over again and how high the Heat are on him. And that always gets on our radar because you can never underestimate this team. They find talent like Duncan Robinson and Udonis Haslem where others cannot find those kind of guys. So we wonder, okay, they love him. He's intriguing. We got Mike Brown talking about him and all that stuff. What's the deal with KZ Okpala? How important is this summer league? What do we need to see from him over the next couple of weeks where you're at in order to kind of justify all the hype and the trade?
Right now, Big O, at this point, the hype on KZ Okpala is more hyperbole than anything. He's one of those guys who goes out there and you go, wow, what great length. Wow, what athleticism, what speed, what quickness. But you know what? There's a lot of athletes who have all those attributes, but they're not NBA basketball players. And that's my concern.
Aren't you you're describing Sylvester Gray?
Well, it's so many over the years for the Heat. So many guys. It's
we lost about 98% of our audience, by the way.
Well, you know what? Unless they were here in 1988, but that's another story. And that's the thing is, I always hate this phrase because it just sounds weird when two grown men are talking and going, "He has a great body." Okay, right. He does. KZ Okpala has a great basketball body. Does he have a basketball sense? Does he have basketball IQ? Does he have a basketball wherewithal to turn all of those physical attributes into something statistically sound and contributory? And I'm not sure right now. Because, again, you watch the game here in Las Vegas on Sunday when they're playing Denver, and he has every opportunity in the world. He's in the starting lineup. He was great on the boards. His instinct there is great. See ball, get ball. But it's the other stuff. It's defense, staying in the rotation. It's offense, being in the right place at the right times. At times, it's like he's running around without a specific purpose right there. And I think that the Heat still have to decide if he can find that. And, this is a concern. Because the way this roster right now is composed, they very well might say at 14 players because of the luxury tax. You have Victor Oladipo, who's not playing at least half the season. Takes you down to 13. You have Udonis Haslem, who will play once this season, the Udonis game, but that's basically about it, okay? Takes you down to 12. So if KZ Okpala is not a contributor or can't contribute, all of a sudden you're down to 11 workable players with, like you and I spoke at the top of the segment, with older players like PJ Tucker, like Kyle Lowry, even to a degree when you're looking at players like Jimmy Butler and Markieff Morris. Well, you'll need maybe 10, 11 guys because you'll have 2 or 3 guys out. That's my concern with KZ Okpala. This roster right now might be carrying a lot of ballast when maybe it can't afford it. Hey, if UD was playing a regular rotation, fine, you got another power forward. Hey, if Victor Oladipo was there from the get-go, fine, you have another athlete. This is a tough spot for the Heat. If KZ Okpala cannot contribute, cannot show a little more here in Summer League or a little more development, I think it's going to be really tough. I think Eric Spoelstra is going to be working with very tight roster constraints.
So it's a sure thing. You think they will keep him even if he struggles? Then it kind of
you know what? He's in the 3rd year of a guaranteed contract, and because of where the luxury tax is, because of where the hard cap is, their hard cap because of the sign and trade for Lowry. Yeah, they're going to keep him. And you know what? You also keep players because you can use them in trades. In other words, just like Precious, God bless him, had a great first half of the year, tailed off. His contract proved, movable and workable. The Heat have almost no movable contracts. Every single guy you sign in the offseason, you cannot trade until December 15th. So you can almost wipe half the roster off there. I think more than half, actually. So when you look at trade chips in the moment, if something happens and someone becomes available, say, well, all of a sudden, you have Tyler Hero, you have KZ Okpala, you're not trading Jimmy, you're not trading Bam, so you really don't have much you can trade there. So at the least, he'll become salary cap ballast, but you really do hope for more because like you pointed out, they gave out 3 second-round picks to acquire him early in the second round of the 2019 draft.
Should we be excited about Omer Yurtseven?
Yurtseven, yes.
Yurtseven.
And if I rolled more Yurtsevens last night, then I wouldn't have been as much trouble. But the Savins didn't come and said there were a lot of snake eyes. But that's another story for another day. Yeah, I like him. Developmental player. As a matter of fact, that's a very interesting point there also, is that he's on the roster, probably not going to be NBA ready for moment one. That takes you down to 10 players. That's another name. But yes, I like what he's shown so far in Summer League. He's raw. The Ferrans, Bill Ferran, his son Eric Ferran, the trainers, they will resculpt their body. I mean, if you saw Duncan Robinson right now, compared to where he came in with, I don't want to say the baby fat. He was an older player, but just what they've done with his body is remarkable. I think they'll do the same with Omer. I think early in the season, you might see him in the G League just to get minutes because they have Dwayne Dedmon. So you figure that Adebayo and Dedmon take the minutes at center. You figure that Markieff Morris and PJ Tucker take the minutes at power forward. You want to get this kid minutes. But yeah, that's a nice pipeline name they've developed and a really nice job for them. So again, if they are going to lose a first-round pick or a second-round pick, maybe in this tampering, gun-jumping case with Lowry, the Heat really do have a way of finding guys.
Yeah, no, that's why we ask about them. That's why we follow them, because they know how to unearth talent like most teams can't. And you got to give them a lot of credit for that. And in today's world, and I'm sure you get to talk to scouts, it's harder now to scout these players than ever because they don't stay in college for 4 years. They're out after one, or they're straight out of high school going right into the G League. So it's really hard to
and Big O, it's been even harder now with COVID. You haven't scouted in person. Right. You've been very limited in interviews, very limited in the combines. So if you find a player in these last 2 years that really says something for you, this is someone who's on the Turkish national team. This was someone who played very well for the Oklahoma City Blue in the very limited 1 month G League schedule this year. But you know what? He was nondescript at North Carolina State. He was nondescript at Georgetown. I defy, again, feel free to text Big O once I'm done with this segment. Does anyone remember, honestly, people out there, watching Omar Yurtseven play in college? Remember, he played against UM. He was at North Carolina State. He played in the Big East for Georgetown. I don't remember him as a player at all. No. Those are the kind of players you get, and you say to yourself, wow, they really found someone.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, by the way, did you take a picture with Bam in the gold medal or what?
He wouldn't let me get that close. They were social distancing us. They said it was because of COVID. I think they knew because of what that thing was worth, and how I could use a few extra bucks after a night like last night at the tables.
There you go.
It's like Vegas Vacation with Chevy Chase, where I would have just put the gold medal on the table and just bet it right there. So instead, I just pulled out the dentures.
It's a beautiful thing. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Catch his work. Subscribe there like I do to the South Florida Sun Sentinel and support our local journalist. And, of course, you can catch him here Friday once again live. Well, you won't be in Vegas, will you? Will you be in Vegas still on Friday?
I might be coming back depending on where the storm is. I'm going to decide whether I need to fly back to beat the tropical storm back home or not. So 50-50. So you'll either have this shot or the home studio, one of the two.
Either way, we get Ira on Friday, and we can't wait. Ira, thank you, my brother. You stay safe out there, my friend, and stay away from the tables.
And I'll be back with Clay tomorrow, and at least then with a full hour segment on our show, he'll be able to get some words in also.
That's right. Inside the Paint tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you, Ira. Appreciate you.
Thanks, so.
You got it. There you go. Ira Winderman. It's a beautiful thing. We love Ira. Let's take a quick break. It's the top of the hour. Hour number 2 is next.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CFs, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
This is the Big O Show.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
This is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.